Hello, everybody. Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about the stock market crash. And before I start this story, it's out of the Market Insider. And it's entitled, "The Stock Market Today Has Echoes of a 1987 Crash, and Even a Hint of Recession Would Be a Massive Blow to Equities." The reason why I want to bring this story up is because I do believe that the next stock market crash will be like 1987. I have felt this way for a long time, and I wanted to explain the two types of crashes. One type is similar to what we saw in 2007 and 2008, where the stock market and all its general indices start trending lower and lower and lower. And the reason why is because little by little, investors start to understand what's going on and they're moving out of the market. The other type is a very fast, flash, deep cut to the value of the stock market because of pure panic all at once. Now, going back to the first scenario, in 2007, 2008, we saw the Dow Jones and other indexes go down slowly, slowly, slowly. And then we had a crescendo of 777 points lost the day that Lehman Brothers finally closed their doors, okay? And we saw that drop, which was equal to 7%. In 1987, it was super steep, super fast, in the 20 percentile, right? Loss in a day, sharp and fast. Both of those types of crashes have long-term effects on the overall markets, right? Because the debt markets are attacked. The consensus of the health, the general consensus of the health of the markets as a whole have now been destroyed. But the reason why one takes off in a certain way like this is because investors are slow to react. Both types of crashes have to do with the emotions and fear that is over the markets. And then that can just build this massive wave of selling, right? But what we're seeing right now is a convergence on many fronts of things that are bad in the economy. Type what you think is really bad that could lead to a crash below, and I'm sure that we're going to find a lot of different answers. Whereas the 1987 crash had to do with the savings and loan scandal situation, the 2007-2008 crash had to do with the mortgage-backed securities. Today, we are very confused as a public. Why? Because the government is out there straight up lying to us. They're telling you that everything is good when, in fact, it is not. All right? So let's read this story, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. Again, this is out of Market Insider. The stock market is sending worrying signals, and any sign of recession could spark a big sell-off, according to Societe Generale strategist Albert Edwards. Edwards pointed to the strength of the U.S. stocks despite rising bond yields, which have surged as investors see higher for longer interest rate policy from the Federal Reserve. The yield on the 10-year Treasury recently passed a 16-year high, climbing to around 4.768%. That is absolutely massive. And very soon, we're going to see a 5% 10-year Treasury bond. Now, let me stop right there and explain something else. Stocks are going up for two reasons: speculation and the desire and need for yield as people are trying to keep the purchasing power of their money. Now, we have seen the Dow Jones get cut in half, lose 50% of its value twice in the last 23 years. First one in the early 2000s, 2000 to 2001. The second from 2006 to 2009. Do you think this time is different? I, quite frankly, do not. I believe that you are going to see a massive crash in the stock market. I believe ultimately we are going to see between 80% and 90% loss in equities. Now, the problem with that phrase is nobody knows when that's going to happen. So if you sold right now, you could still miss a blow off top because of the inflation wave. And that is why it's very important to be diversified. All right, now, going on in the story, Edwards pointed to the strength of the stocks. He says, and yet U.S. stocks have been relatively resilient this year. Despite hefty losses in August and September, the S&P is still up 10% from its levels in January. But the outperformance in the face of soaring bond yields could be a warning of pain to come if history is any guide. The landscape today is reminiscent of the run-up to Black Monday, Edwards said, when stocks were resilient amid rising bond yields. Before the Dow plunged 22% in a single trading session, which is the sharpest one-day decline in history. Again, I believe this is coming. I believe this will happen within the next, it will happen before the next president is sworn into office. This isn't to cause fear. It is intended to wake people up, cause enlightenment, and to invoke critical thinking skills, one of which is diversification. Type 1 if you agree that right now you need to be diversified more than you've ever been diversified in your entire life. Because markets are moving in so many different directions right now, and they're all pointing downward because of the health of the consumer. And we are in a time where people are waking up. You want to know why? Because I get to meet you every single day. Praise God. Let me catch my thoughts here. He says there's growing uncertainty about the path of the economy, and the forecasts have wavered all year, while economists have been warming up to the idea of a soft landing for the economy in the middle of 2023. The latest spike in bond yields has clouded the outlook. Never, he says, in my career have I witnessed such uncertainty about where we are in the economic cycle. Is that long promised recession still lurking around the corner, or are we at the start of a new economic cycle? Type 2 if you believe that we are going for a big recession and into a crash. Type 3 if you believe that no, the Fed did, and I'm not going to joke around here because I believe this is very serious. Type 3 if you believe, no, we're going to go into a new market economy, a new cycle. All right? Now, it looks like most of us are on the same page. However, it is very dangerous to become part of an echo chamber, right? But with that being said, I don't believe this is an echo chamber because the group here, Ninja Nation, people who are getting prepared for this, are a very small majority of people. Most people are completely unaware. Funny story, I got an email the other day from someone from the real estate crash course that says she has the opportunity to buy a condominium because her landlord has said, and I quote, "I am liquidating all of my rentals, all of my portfolio." I pray that this lady is watching. First off, that is the most in your face, and I say this with respect, sign you could get. When your landlord that has a portfolio of properties is liquidating everything, there's a reason. Also, I want to train and instruct people that have never had the confidence or the understanding that they could buy their own home and buy rentals as well and become wildly successful. That's my passion. It's fun to watch wealthy people get more wealthy from my information. That's great. It makes me feel good. But not as good as it makes me feel to watch someone that didn't have the confidence become wealthy. That's what I care about because I believe that we need to make America rich again. As our country gets taken over by other countries, and it is happening right now. The wealth of our nation is going to other countries, and it has to be stopped. I met someone the other day. Actually, I know him. I've known him for a long time. He's a buddy of mine through this channel. He was going to sell a large commercial property. The property was about to close. Everything was going well. The buyers were excited. It's a big commercial property. They found out that they both watched the Economic Ninja channel. Then the seller told the buyer that we were friends. And the buyers backed out. And the only thing he could think of is the buyers must have thought, if this guy is friends with the Economic Ninja, what does he know that we don't? And I would ask that lady, and I'm sure she'll email me back, ask him if he's watching this channel. Because I know a lot of real estate investors that have a lot of property that are liquidating a lot of properties right now. And they're doing it the right way. And every single one of them are telling me the same thing. I'm so glad I started last spring when you really started to put out the warnings. Because if I didn't and I waited till now, I would have been screwed. And that makes me feel good, but at the same time, I'm trying to figure out how to reach the masses even faster because 2024 is going to get very dark. That's not doom and gloom, it's a fact. I just watched a county, the county that I live in, went over and above the California mandates for vaccines and said all medical providers or all healthcare workers are now mandated to get the vaccine or wear a mask. Going over and above. And we're going to see more tyrannical overreach like this coming up. I told you about this. I warned you in the last few months about this coming. And that's going to add even more pressure. And when the next virus is announced, then you're going to see what happens. And I think, let's do this really quick. Let's just get rid of that person. I like that. Because we're here to build a channel, a community, a movement of people that are prepared, they're not scared, and they're ready to stand up for their beliefs. And that is God, freedom, and a republic. Hope you got something out of this. The Economic Ninja is out.